Banex. They know they beat soldiers. They know they beat soldiers. They know they beat them with uniform.
The video you're watching right now is a video of what happened at Banex Plaza over the weekend. There you see some angry mob attacking two soldiers, or the three soldiers in that video. Now, this is outrightly wrong. This must be condemned in every sense of it. People in uniform are supposed to be respected, if not appreciated, for the sacrifices they make on the behalf of the rest of us to keep the rest of us safe. So, is there any justifiable reason why anybody would attack men in uniform? Think about it. However, there are two things that are wrong in this video, particularly when you take a look at what caused this incident that you're seeing, and also when you take a look at the response of the Nigerian army to these incidents. Now, what caused these incidents? And then we critically analyze how we can prevent these kind of things from happening again. What happened? This is another video, this time from Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, and it explains exactly what led to this.
Going to small arguments before you go bring like 3 soldiers come.
Now we bring 3 soldiers come.
The customer.
Okay, go ahead.
So as they bring 3 soldiers come now, as they come the shop now, when they try to create awareness, try to disturb other customer waiting for the shop. Now the shop on around go call police post waiting for the banners. When they concentrate the issue. When the man come now with his gun, he was trying to ask what happened. Now those soldiers now no agree won't hear the policeman.
This is the first phase of what we need to look at. Next, we needed to look at how did the Nigerian army respond. But first of all, considering that this was purely a civil matter, it is absolutely wrong, and the Nigerian army should look at this. Yes, we condemn the action of the citizens that beat up the soldiers, but then we also should look at, and the Nigerian army particularly should look at, why will citizens, civilians, who have friends that are soldiers, why would such soldiers allow their civilian friends to trick them into being used to go and harass other civilians under whatever circumstances? These kind of things happen repeatedly in the Nigerian society. And the Nigerian army must understand that these are the kind of things that make Nigerians to lose respect for the Nigerian army rather than respect and appreciate them for the sacrifices that they make to keep the territorial integrity of Nigeria safe. So, if we're going to prevent these kind of things from happening again, it is not by the response that we saw by the Nigerian army. That is not what will restore that confidence and respect and appreciation for the sacrifices of the Nigerian army. What the Nigerian army needs to do first is educate, orientate, and reorientate its soldiers from allowing themselves to be drawn into civilian matters like this. How do you take a soldier with all its or their military training to go and harass a civilian, a phone seller, just because somebody wants to prove that they know some powerful people? The training of the Nigerian military should not be used for the oppression, the intimidation, or the harassment of innocent civilians. I know for a fact that there is this bloody civilian mentality among the rank and files of the military. But the Nigerian military particularly should take care to compare themselves with the military in other countries, particularly the advanced countries. And they must make conscious effort to erase this bloody civilian mentality from the rank and file of his officers and soldiers, because that was a colonial era mentality that was intended to brutalize Nigerians at the time of colonization. We are no longer in colonization. So the army needs to remove this orientation of bloody civilians from the orientation of the soldiers, so that they will not continue to allow themselves to be dragged into harassing innocent civilians just because they are in uniform. This is one thing that needs to be done. So if the Nigerian army can do this, a lot of the lost respect will be regained for the Nigerian army or soldiers. The second thing that we needed to look at was the response of the Nigerian army. We need to analyze this because it is important for us to take a look at whether or take a look at how we can prevent these kind of things from happening. How we can get Nigerians to truly appreciate people in uniform. Men and women in uniform, servicemen and women. We really should appreciate them, really, because the sacrifice that they put in, not many of us can put in those kind of sacrifice. But like they say, it takes two to tango. While we condemn the activities of people who go over and beyond to harass and attack men and women in uniform, we also need to call men and women in uniform to a higher standard of morality. Look, as much as we blame these civilians for their actions, we hold the Nigerian army and everybody that is a trained military personnel, even the paramilitary personnel, we should hold them to a higher standard. Definitely. Tell me, who do you think should be held to a higher standard? Civilians or military personnel? So while we condemn the activities, and we condemn it in very strong terms, we call on the military to also take note that the response that we are seeing by deploying soldiers to go and seal off a civilian premise where civilian activities are taking place just to show force is not the best way to restore the dignity, the respect, and the appreciation that is demanded by the military from the civilians on the Nigerian military. It is not the best way. If anything, it goes to create more bitterness, more bottled up anger and enmity between the Nigerian citizens and the Nigerian army. And the Nigerian army top brass should know this. It is not good optics. It is not the best solution for the Nigerian army to roll out armored tanks against innocent civilians. Because look at what is happening in Gaza today. Yes, Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. 1,400 Israelis, military and civilians, were killed. But look at what is happening today. Over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed, including women and children, and of course, including Hamas soldiers. But nobody is looking at the incidents of October 7th anymore, because the class punishment that the Israeli Defense Forces is meting out against the people, particularly in Rafah right now, is calling for greater concern. And the Nigerian army should learn from this. The people who perpetrated this attack on this military, I can bet you, number one, there is no way that they are people who own shops in that Banex Plaza. There is no way that they are people who are traders in that Banex Plaza. And thirdly, there is no way that those people will still be around the Banex Plaza by the time the army deployed its soldiers to come and carry out mass punishment on civilians around the Banex Plaza. Reports that we're getting indicate that the soldiers came in their tanks, in their armored personnel carriers. Yes, those things look like tank anyway. And they started harassing people. They started asking people to do frog jump. They started punishing people who did not know about the incidents in the first place, because let's face it, who will know about what happened to those soldiers and still remain in those premises? Many people who were told started locking up their shops and running away because they know that this is likely to be the response of the Nigerian army. The Nigerian army must be admonished to know that this is not the best way. This is not the best way. Yes, by way of your military training, by way of the weapons and ammunition you carry. The civilians cannot face you one-on-one. They cannot face you. So you have the advantage of training and military equipment, and of course you have the advantage of state. But if what you seek as a military is the respect and confidence of the people, this your response will not help you achieve that. In fact, this your response will push people further away and cause them to be embittered against the military, even when they may not be able to do anything about it. So what do we do to forestall the recurrence of these kind of things? Number one, I've said it, the Nigerian army should reorientate and re-educate its soldiers from allowing themselves to be used in civilian matters. They should desist from doing that, and they should desist from using their uniform to harass innocent civilians in Nigeria. And then number two, this response of brute force that the military usually employs should be discouraged, because it is not solving the problem of regaining the trust of the people for the Nigerian military or gaining their respect. It doesn't do that. If anything, it does the exact opposite. The Nigerian army, the Nigerian people, all of us must realize that we have a task to make Nigeria work for all of us. Contribute yours, let me contribute mine. Let me know what you think about this incident and how we can move Nigeria forward.